Hello world, this is Krista from Books and Jams. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read during the TimeHopAthon this past week. I think I moved, sorry, I had to go get a book that fell. I completed 5 books this week, but a couple of them I was already in the middle of. But let me just go through and show you what it is that I finished. The first one that I completed was a children's favorite. One of the challenges was to read a children's favorite, and the hosts of the readathon gave their favorites, but I read one of my favorites, which is also a classic, which was another challenge, and that is Anne of Avonlea by Ella Montgomery. One of my goals this year is to reread the whole series of Anne of Green Gables, which I think I didn't ever finish the whole series when I first read it through, so I am determined this year to read the whole 8 books of the Anne of Green Gables series. Anne of Avonlea just continues the story that begins with Anne of Green Gables, and it is when she's a school teacher. She's about 16 years old. Every page makes me smile. Just like I said with the first book, I just catch myself all the time smiling. I love Ella Montgomery's writing. I love Anne. I love the characters. I love Marilla. I love Rachel. I love Diana. I love them all. And I really can't wait for the next book because I think we get a little bit more Gilbert, because he was only just a friend in this one and they didn't spend too much time together. But I just really loved this book. There's one storyline throughout the last probably quarter or third of the book that talks about a friend that Anne makes named Miss Lavender. And Miss Lavender is in her mid-40s and is portrayed as a really old woman, totally gray hair, lives on her own, old maid. And I was a little taken aback by that because I just turned 40 this year and I have a lot of gray, which I hide with hair color, but I don't feel like an old maid. But I guess I am. So this book came out in 1909, so I guess 45 was quite an old maid at that point in time. And maybe it is still today, but I refuse to live by that title. But anyways, this was a fantastic read, and I am thrilled to continue eventually throughout this year with the rest of the series. Another book that I finished just yesterday was the audiobook that I listened to for the whole month of February, and that is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. And during this past week, because I was trying to finish it during TimeHopAthon, I did sit in my car a little bit extra at work and at lunchtime, and at the end of the day, I would sit in my car a little extra because I don't have a very long commute. So audiobooks, physical copy audiobooks often take me a little bit longer to get through, and I definitely wanted to finish this one. So this, if you don't know, Heartless by Marissa Meyer is a retelling, I guess, not so much a retelling as a backstory to the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. And I'm sure you've heard a lot about it on BookTube already, but I enjoyed this immensely. So this is the story of Kath, who is the daughter of a marquess and a marchioness in the court, the king's court, and has a lot of expectations on her life, but really she just wants to be a baker and open a bakery with her lady's maid. And it's the story of how she transforms from this dutiful, kind daughter who follows the social rules of her day and turns into the Queen of Hearts that we know of, off with her head fame. The story is a little bit slow to get going. It gives a lot of her backstory. And so over halfway through the book, I'm like, how on earth, how is she going to change to become the woman, the character that we know she ends up being? So it was very interesting to follow that. I loved all the nods and all the characters in this book that are also in Alice in Wonderland. That was a lot of fun. I loved the little bit of romance that was in there. And I just thought this was a fun read. It's not going to change my life in any way, but I really enjoyed it. And I mean, we don't like the Queen of Hearts, right? So it's very sad, the choices that she makes and that are thrust upon her to make her become the woman that she ends up being at the end. Very sad. So there's that. Then I'm not going to talk too much about this next one because it's the second book. This is Mouse 2, and this is a graphic novel. You can see here. This is a graphic novel which portrays which is written by Art Spiegleman, and his father is a Holocaust survivor who was in Auschwitz, and so it's his father's story. And I will talk more about both 1 and 2 in my February wrap-up because I did read book 1 earlier in the month, and then I just finished book 2 during this week. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I did finish it during TimeHopAthon. Another book that I read this week is called Love Warrior, and this did not follow any of the challenges whatsoever. It's actually my nonfiction read of the month. This is the memoir, Glennon Doyle Melton's memoir, and she has written another book called Carry On Warrior, which is a collection of essays and blog posts, which I loved. But this book I was hoping to love as much as I loved her first book, but I didn't. I was really kind of disappointed by this, mainly because of my expectations that I had for it were not met. I appreciate Glennon's honesty. I did like her writing style. After a little bit, I had to get used to it again. So the beginning was a little slow for me to get back into, but I did appreciate her writing style. However, because it didn't meet my expectations and because of the theological differences, which I have with the author, and because I know this is the story of her and a lot of her marriage, which I know she is now divorced with her husband and is in a lesbian relationship, and I believe they're getting married, which almost takes a lot away from this memoir, because a lot of it is about her becoming comfortable with who she is, and then also how her marriage is restored in a lot of ways as she gets to know herself. And I did appreciate the aspect of her finding balance between her heart and her soul and her mind, and I really liked that. And I know how important that was for her relationship with her husband at the time. And I don't know, there was just a lot of disconnect for me. I didn't love it. So I didn't hate it, I didn't love it. I do love, at the very end, she has a conversation with one of her daughters about the difference between being pretty and being beautiful. And I really loved that conversation. That was really good. There are nuggets all the way through here that were really good, but I just didn't connect with the author, and it just seemed, I don't know, it didn't seem right to me anymore because of where I know she's at today. So I don't want to take that away from her, because I know this was part of her path that she walked, and so that's fine. I just didn't connect with it personally. So I know people who love it, and I know people who didn't love it. So take what you will. If you think that's something that you would like or not, I don't know. But I did finish it this week, so it's in my wrap up. And finally, another book that I was hoping to love, Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This book I have heard tons and tons and tons and tons about on BookTube. It's very short. It is the story of this home for children who have traveled to another land, and they come to this home because they can no longer adjust to our world, to reality. They feel that the land that they visited was their real home. And so this boarding school is a place for them to learn to adjust and also talk with others. It's almost like group therapy, to talk with others who are in their shoes. However, there's a murder mystery. And so the plot that I thought was going to happen, well, I didn't know what the plot was going to be. I just knew the premise of the setting. But this is a murder mystery, and a pretty gruesome one at that, and a very predictable one, if you ask me. So I was not prepared for that, and it was odd how everyone else reacted to the murders. I didn't connect with the characters. It just wasn't what I was expecting, and I really ended up not liking it very much at all. It is a very diverse book, and I know that's why a lot of people love it. There are diverse nationalities, there are diverse sexualities, all represented in here. But to me, because I didn't connect so much with the characters, I felt like it was almost forced, that there was no real purpose, only to just write a story to have diversity so that it's in there. However, coming from my white privilege, I suppose, I can't really speak to the diversity. So if there are others who connect with the diversity that's in here, that's fantastic. I think it's important to find more books that are diverse, but to me, it just felt forced a little bit, and I didn't connect with it. And a big portion of that is probably just because it's so short. So I don't know, but that's just my thoughts on this book. Sorry if it's a book that you love. But I did finish it. It was enjoyable enough that I finished it. I didn't DNF it, but I probably could have and not really been missing much. And I hated the ending. I felt like it came out of nowhere, and it wasn't, it just was very quick and thrust on me, and I didn't like that at all. So not my favorite book of the week by far. And the final book that I spent a lot of time on this week is my BookTuber Recommends pick from February, and that was The Secret Keeper by Kate Morton. I'm about almost halfway. I'm not gonna finish by the end of February, but I am gonna continue with this one. So this will sort of be on my March TBR, which I've already filmed, and I didn't say this one, but I will be finishing this one very soon. It's about this girl who sees a tragic event that involves her mother, and then 40 years or so down the road, she tries to discover what was really happening. Her mother has kind of these secrets that she never really knew about as a child, and now as her mom is 90 years old, she wants to discover these things before it's too late, in a sense. So it's very good. I love Kate Morton's writing. I love the little bit of mystery, but the family dynamics are fantastic. There's 4 sisters, I believe, that are a lot of fun, and they're very diverse personalities. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, but it's not a very quick read, but that's okay. I'm taking my time with it, and it's really good. So I'll continue reading this one. So that is it for my TimeHopAthon TBR. I really loved this readathon. I'm looking forward to another readathon in March, but I hope that you guys, if you participated, had some focused reading this past week, and I would love to hear your thoughts on any of these. I know I had some controversial thoughts, I guess, on some of them that other people have loved, but I would love to hear what you thought, and I'll talk to you down in the comments, and subscribe, like, all that jazz if you haven't yet. I'll talk to you soon. Bye!